Welcome to another episode of Clear Lake Connections, where we talk to the people behind the businesses of Bay Area Houston, proudly sponsored by UTMB, and we have a special rodeo edition today. And my guest is Richard, a.k.a. Flame Gruen. Tell me about the getup. Let's get that over with right away.
Sure. So this is my 25th year on the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Speakers Committee. The Speakers Committee is one of our 109 different committees. I'm one of 35,000 volunteers. My first year on the Speakers Committee, I found out that every Friday during the school year, we go into an elementary school, and depending on the size of the school, it may be 20, 30 of us, and we're there to teach kids about the four pillars of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, which are agriculture, education, entertainment, and of course, Western heritage. And I found out that one of the things that we can do is learn about bullfighting as one of the rodeo events, learn about our rodeo clowns or our bullfighters, dress up as a rodeo clown, and go into schools and teach kids about that event. And it just sounded like fun. So I created the persona of Flame the Rodeo Clown. And over the last 25 years, it's been kind of an incredible experience. And 8 years ago, was surprised. We have a school art competition. There's over 300,000 entries from the Houston and surrounding areas. And a young lady did an oil painting of Flame. I've helped out with the school art auction for a long time. And her oil painting turned out, and I had no idea she was doing it. She did it from photos. And it turned out to be the reserve champion, meaning second out of over 250, 300,000 entries. And I was on the auction stage with her when it sold for a record $220,000. Wow. And that kind of made Flame a little bit more visible than just doing some of the other events that I've done. And the backstory to that is that as volunteers, we talk about the impact we have on the youth of Texas and what we do for education. But quite frankly, most of us as volunteers have some kind of an aha moment with one of the young people that we're able to, whose lives we touch. And Lucy Chen, who was a junior at Tompkins High School in CCISD, did the painting. And the following year, I sat with her mom and dad and watched her graduate from high school. I did not sit there as Flame. I sat there in a business suit and watched her graduate salutatorian. And 4 years later, her mom sent me a link, and I was able to watch her graduate virtually during COVID from Caltech.
Oh, wow.
And we've continued to stay in touch. So life-changing experiences.
Well, and I think this year's grand champion artist is a CCISD product, Eliza Hoffman.
Yes, and
So
I will
we're
actually
super proud of
meet
her.
her on Sunday the 10th. The school art auction this year is on Sunday the 10th. Years ago, a friend of mine asked me if Flame was doing anything the morning of the school art auction, and I said no. And she said, could you come and just kind of entertain the kids, talk with them about rodeo, and because they have to check in pretty early, and then there's a couple hours before the auction starts. And it kind of evolved into, for the last, I don't even know, we've lost track, it's been over 15 years. I actually stand in the chute and talk to each of the students right before they go onto the auction stage. And so I will talk with Elizabeth, and an incredible piece, two Native Americans.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, this is the second year where our reserve champion actually has the grand champion piece of school art. So I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to visit with her.
Well, and you talked about the money that gets raised. You guys hit a milestone recently.
So the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is one of the largest providers of scholarships and educational support in the country. And it seemed like it wasn't that long ago where we were talking about hitting a $500 million in support of the youth of Texas through our education programs. And that's scholarship, that's junior show exhibitors, that's some community grants. And this year, if our commitment for the last few years has been around $22 million a year. And we were at $575 million after last year. And I really felt that the show was going to stretch to get the 600 million mark. And this year we've committed $27 million to education support, which got us over the $600 million since we started. And interestingly, our first scholarship, 1957, man by the name of Ben Dickerson at Bel Air High School, was $2,000. And that $2,000 pretty much covered his four-year education at A&M. Today, our four-year scholarships are $20,000, and if a student does well, they actually, after they've finished their first 2 years, 60 hours of credit, and if they have a 3.0 grade average or better, they're able to apply for an additional achievement scholarship, which can be another $8,000 a year. So conceivably, a student doing well could end up with $36,000 in scholarship money.
Yeah, and it's all run, for the most part, by volunteers, which is amazing. You said a 35,000 volunteer army.
Yeah.
I've never met a rodeo volunteer that hasn't been doing it for like ever. I've never met somebody who volunteered at the rodeo and then stopped doing it.
Now, I mean, those of us that believe in, our Western heritage and the sport of rodeo and also family-friendly entertainment, marvelous entertainment lineup this year. People from out of town, really people from all over the country. We have an international committee that since opening day has been hosting events for our international guests. I had an opportunity to be in the international committee room as Flame and visit with some of our guests, and people from Mexico, Honduras, Ireland, Italy, literally all over the globe coming to see the rodeo.
Yeah, and you have a new chairperson?
So, yes, and this is an exciting year. Pat Mann Phillips is chairman of the board, which is the highest volunteer position, and this is the first time that we've had a chairman of the board be a woman. And, in the old days, I think a lot of people thought about the rodeo as being dominated by male leadership, if you will. And I think we're real pleased to know that not only is Pat Mann our chairman of the board, but two of the executive committee, Pat Mann and Dr. Blanking on Kelly's last name, but two of our executive committee members are women, and then 5 of the 18 vice presidents are also women. And then 2 years ago, we introduced women's breakaway roping to become the second rodeo event, along with women's barrel racing. And what's also important is that the women competing in our rodeo also receive the same amount of money as the men for placing first at the end of the rodeo, and that's $50,000. And for both men and women in the sport of rodeo to leave an event with $50,000 plus some go-round money is life-changing and is a big milestone in helping them make it to the National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas at the end of the year.
Yeah, rodeo's become kind of a big deal, but like you said, there's 4 pillars, right, to the rodeo, and you guys provide an unparalleled kind of family fun experience. Talk to me about the acts that you've got coming up that you think will bring in the big crowds.
Well, I think really the things that we've got going on the grounds that are free to people that just buy a day pass to come onto the grounds. We've got Ag Venture, and in Ag Venture, there's a lot of agricultural activities, and we've got things like a milking parlor. We've got Fun on the Farm, where kids go into an outdoor area, and they pick artificial fruits and vegetables and take it to a store, and in turn, they learn how we source from crops to the table, to consumption, and they're given a little snack when they turn in their artificial food that they've harvested, if you will. We have a birthing center where we have the opportunity for people to see live births from livestock. We have pony rides. We have the Breed Row Barn, where we have examples of all the different breeds of livestock. And then there's the livestock shows. Last night, it was kind of quiet for me, and I just walked through NRG Arena and looked at all the rabbits that right now are being shown. And then we've got livestock competition coming up, cattle, goats, sheep. So a lot of things that are just simply fun for the family to do.
Well, and the amount of time those kids put into raising those animals. I don't think people realize just the commitment they've made.
So last year I sponsored a calf in the calf scramble, and I met my scrambler at that time. And so for the last year, on the 10th of every month, I get his monthly report. And so I've followed his journey in raising a Charolais heifer. And it's been a real eye-opening experience. I've not been a person that was involved in agriculture and ranching. And so just as he's learned, and this is the first time that he's shown a calf, I met him and his family in November in Brenham at what we call a progress show for the scramblers, where they show their animals but also get help from the judges in terms of showmanship and what they need to be doing with their animal to make it the best of show, if you will. And Augustine will be showing his heifer in the Scramble show on March 8th, and I'll be with the family.
Awesome.
And again, this is somebody that, great young man in the Cy-Fair FFA program, plays soccer. I've gotten to know mom and dad. I mean, it's like we've adopted each other. We're friends on Facebook. But I've learned just a lot about all of the things that go in terms of proper diet and all the things that have to be done by the vet and just taking care of an animal and feeding and grooming. So it really is. And I've never met a 4-H or FFA student that it's not yes, sir, no, sir, well-grounded, and wonderful families supporting the kids because they can't do it on their own.
And the rodeo helps support the FFA and the 4-H and things like that.
Yes, and when we talk about our scholarships, and I think this is important too because we talk about rodeo scholarships, that kind of generic term, is a lot of people think that you've got to be in 4-H or FFA, you've got to be raising an animal to get a scholarship. And actually, we have area scholarships and then we have specialty scholarships. So our specialty scholarships include things like 4-H and FFA, where we work with those programs to administer the funds. But our largest scholarships are scholarships where 350 metropolitan area scholarships, and those are simply based on academic achievement, financial need, and person never has to step foot on the grounds of the Houston Livestock Show or raise an animal. And then we have Area Go Texan scholarships as well. So same thing there.
And that's all part of that $27 million that you're
yes, and in that $27 million, and I'll just kind of ballpark, but roughly $14 million plus goes to scholarships. Another $9 million plus goes to what we call junior show exhibitors, the premiums that are paid to our livestock show exhibitors. And then a little over $2.5 million go to education program grants. And these are nonprofits in our community that align themselves with, again, the mission of the rodeo, the 4 pillars: agriculture, education, entertainment, and Western heritage.
And then you have some tips for maybe first-time visitors or even some seasoned visitors.
Yes. So a couple things. March 6th coming up is what we're going to call Community Day. And on Community Day, we have a sponsor. And so everyone can come onto the grounds of the rodeo from the time the gates open until noon, free, totally free. If you're not able to be there on March 6th, a week from then, March 13th, is what we call a Value Wednesday. On Value Wednesday, adults 60 and older and children 12 and under, sounds like grandma and grandpa and their grandchildren, can come onto the grounds before noon for free.
Oh, wow.
Another thing, last year, for the first time, we did a lighted drone show, and it was a big success. So this year, we're doing a lighted drone show, 400 drones, plus some fireworks, and we're doing that at 8 o'clock every 8 o'clock every Saturday and every Sunday. I stayed last night after the concert to see the drone show, and it's spectacular. Another thing that if people are kind of creatures of habit, we've backed up the opening, the start time for the rodeo on Saturday and Sunday. Previously, it's been 3:45. It's now 2:45 on Saturday and Sunday an hour earlier, and that allows our guests after the concert to have more time on the grounds to go shopping and enjoy the carnival. Another thing, where were we going with this, Jameson?
Well, I mean, like it's so overwhelming. It's growing so big.
Yeah.
So, what are like your 5
Yes.
have to sees?
Okay. Let me go back to Richard's rodeo tips. So this is our visitor's guide, and I would highly recommend that there's 2 ways to do this. If you're tech savvy, we have a marvelous app. And if you look for the app in your app store, it's simply Rodeo Houston, all one word, and you'll find and can download the app. For people that maybe not as tech savvy, I would recommend picking up the Daily Visitor's Guide. It has everything you want to know. It has daily agendas. And then if for any reason at all, someone's on the grounds, has a question, we have what's called the Directions and Assistance Committee. And these are our DNA committeemen are in a teal color vest. Just go up to them and they'll be happy to answer whatever questions you'd like. I always tell people that go by the NRG Arena, which is basically the horse show, and there's always something going on in the horse show. We've just finished 3 days of ranch rodeo, but we'll have a lot of different horse competitions going on, and that's all free. It's a good place to go, be inside, rest your feet. Lots of interesting food on the carnival area. And then
Fried everything.
Yeah. I don't know how they do it, man. They managed to fry butter. We've got big fat bacon on a stick this year. Lots of different things. But just a lot of fun things to do, and a lot of it's free.
Yeah, and it has grown. I mean, you've been at this 25 years. I mean, just think about 25 years ago to now. It's amazing how large it's gotten.
Yes, last year we had well over 2 million people visit the grounds of the rodeo during the 20 days that we were putting on the show. So, and we're Chamber of Commerce here, and so it's also significant the economic impact we have in not just Houston proper, but the Bay Area. We last did an economic study in 2019. I believe we're getting ready to do a new study because it's been enough time has passed. But our figures showed that the economic impact over $227 million. And it's kind of like a Super Bowl every day for 20 days.
Yeah, it's got to get exhausting. I mean, it's nonstop.
It doesn't get exhausting till the 21st day when you realize what you've done for the last 20 days, but it's an adrenaline rush that's like, just as volunteers, we love what we do. We're glad we get to be a part of this huge effort. And so, but the 21st day is kind of crash day, no doubt about it.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I'll bet. Well, Flame, we appreciate having you on, and looking forward to another great rodeo season.
Thank you, Jameson, for inviting me to be here and to visit with you again.
Awesome.
Love it.